Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
War Eagle, and welcome to Ever to Podcast, our somewhat regular get-together in audio format here at E2C Network, where we share the Auburn experience, which is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and Auburn family stuff. An easier way to say it might be, though, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. So thank you so much for joining us in what we're going to be doing today on episode 32 of Ever to Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Kyle Loomis, for today's date, June 27th. 2025. As always, we want to catch you up on the latest Auburn news, scuttlebutt discussions that are out in person, online, all the different places that you can talk about the Auburn experience. We have, as I always say, a lot to get into. I'm actually having to piece some things together in terms of choosing what I can and what I don't have, and I do have time to talk about. I'm already wasting time. So we're going to talk about the NBA draft, definitely. We're going to talk about a brand new commitment for Auburn football, and obviously we'll probably have time for one more. Some baseball news for Ike Irish, and if there's any time for anything else, we might cover some things. A couple of housekeeping things here. I'm actually doing this recording a little bit earlier in the day than I typically do, so I may miss out on some updates for a few of these topics, but if you find something missing there or something big missing from this particular episode, that is why we're trying to work around some schedule stuff today, but wanted to get this very important episode out to you. Let's start with the NBA draft. That's obviously the big thing that happened all last night with everybody having a lot of excitement for Auburn in the NBA draft. Nothing in the first round, as we talked about, but the second round was the big night for Auburn. 5 picks in, wasn't it, to the second round? Johni Broome comes off the board right around where a lot of people kind of had him in terms of early second round predictions. He goes to the Philadelphia 76ers, to the city of brotherly love. And if you are a Auburn person who knows your stuff and you know a little bit about the history of Auburn in the pros, you'll know that's a significant thing, because what's happened a lot here? Well, there's been comparisons for Johni Broome, Charles, who is the greatest of all time. Charles has conceded that to him from his own mouth. I'm not saying that I disagree necessarily or agree necessarily, but it's a good discussion to have when some time has passed. But what's cool about that is that's exactly where Charles Barkley went when he was drafted oh so long ago and started his illustrious career. What does that mean anything in the grand scheme of Johni's career other than just the cool correlation? No, but it is something that's pretty unique and pretty cool to note for two of Auburn's greatest having had their start at the exact same place. The other guys that got not drafted but free agent signings as follows as of me recording this at the time I'm doing it. Miles Kelly to Dallas, the Dallas Mavericks. That should also have some Auburn ties for you as well, because that Marquise Daniels spent a lot of time in Dallas. He went to several places, but the Dallas Mavericks, he played with them a lot. Dylan Cardwell, the ultimate Auburn man, went to the Sacramento Kings with an undrafted free agent deal last night, which was great to see. I think a lot of us had an outside hope that somebody would take a chance on him in the draft, and I do believe that there was some interest in that. But Dylan Cardwell going all the way out to Sacramento, I mean, it's like they ripped our hearts out by just taking him almost as far as you could go away from Auburn. But we are so thrilled that he is getting an opportunity to play in the NBA, and they got a good one. And that phrase is used a lot, but I think we all understand, know, and mean that when we say that. And then this morning, as of me doing the time I'm recording, we've got Chaney Johnson going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. You want to talk about more Auburn connections? Isaac's been there forever. Chumo's been there this season. And so now you've got Chaney with a different type of contract, I think, even than the other two had. It's a, I forget how you phrase it, but it's just an opportunity to go and show that you belong on their roster. So Chaney Johnson gets his shot, which is a great thing to see. So that's a really brief overview of what happened. We're going to talk about that more on this week's episode of the Auburn Experience, episode 131, where we'll dive more into detail about who is this draft and who is still in the NBA for Auburn, and where you, the Auburn fan, should be paying attention this upcoming season. I know it just ended, but for those particular purposes. So that's your update for that. Another big surprise update for you all. We've already got a video out on YouTube. If you want the quick facts on this guy, we'll talk a little bit about him here. But obviously, after what's been a tumultuous week for some Auburn fans who struggle to put things into perspective, recruiting has not been that fulfilling for them until things got going with the offensive line recruit. But yesterday, big surprise. Quarterback Peyton Falzone is now committed to the Auburn Tigers. In fact, flipped to the Auburn Tigers from Penn State. That's now 2 classes in a row that Auburn has flipped a commit from Penn State, Alvin Henderson being that other one. Who decided to come be with the Auburn Tigers after originally committing to the Penn State Nittany Lions. This is just wild to see this one happen because it came literally out of nowhere. I don't think it was like nobody felt this might be a possibility. I'm sure some of our media members kind of had some hints or inklings right when it was about to go down. But from the coverage on it and stuff, it sounds like this caught a lot of people by surprise, which is just a great showing by Hugh Freeze and his staff to kind of keep something under wraps and to kind of take a week that people were trying to turn against him and make pretty surprisingly fun in a positive way for us. So quarterback for 2026 doesn't factor in this season. I think a lot of people forget that because a lot of questions came up about, like, what does this mean for Deuce Knight? Well, it's the same thing when you bring a quarterback almost in every season. It's just more competition. And you weren't worried about it when Deuce Knight was coming to compete with somebody else here. Don't worry about that. There's a lot of people putting a lot of stock in Deuce Knight way too early. Not to say that he's not going to be good, but just for the benefit of him as a player. We all just need to be thankful for who we have and let it all play out and stop putting so many eggs in one basket. I'm really excited about this guy. He's very tall. I'm excited about the story around him. And I'm also interested with this whole pipeline that we've got going up into the Northeast now. We've taken so many from Maryland and especially the Academy, St. Francis Academy up in Maryland, but now we're even extending further into the Northeast. It's wild. Go watch our video that we put out on YouTube for you all, the quick facts and things you need to know for more on him. But obviously was a big surprise and a very, very awesome day for the Auburn Tigers. It was great to see that. Let's talk a little baseball here now today. Obviously, we're putting final touches on the season. We talked about rankings yesterday, where they ended up at in all the different rankings. And once the season's over, you start getting a lot of these awards and being named by publications of certain things. But one of the best things that you can be named, obviously, is an All-American. And we knew that Ike Irish was going to have a very strong case for all the All-Americas he can get, and that is exactly what he just did. Ike Irish, as of yesterday, is now a consensus. Let me say that again, and a consensus, meaning every person that of legitimacy that will name an All-American has named him to a team. And so what does that mean? That means the publications America Baseball Coaches Association, Baseball America, College Baseball Foundation, and Perfect Game. I believe there's actually one I have missing from that list too. I may be wrong on that. But all of them have agreed Ike Irish is a All-American, which makes him a consensus All-American. Why is this such a big deal? Well, first of all, it's a recognition of what we all know on the national stage for Ike Irish. It solidifies that he's going to be a highly coveted prospect in the MLB draft, which isn't too far away. But what it does is always, or not always, but it puts him into, I guess for always, a category of players that has only done this a few times. So I'm going to give you the names of the other Auburn baseball consensus All-Americans. Frank Thomas in 1989, Tim Hudson in 1999, Todd Faulkner in 2000, so those were back-to-back, and Gabe Gross in 2002. Not again until 2018 with Casey Mize, and Sonny DeShera did it in 2022. So if you look at that right there, you've got 6 consensus All-Americans. This makes him the 7th consensus All-American in Auburn's history of them keeping track of these types of things. That's an amazing accomplishment for certainly Ike Irish, but obviously the Auburn faithful take great pride in that, and that's another thing to put in the feather of your cap as an Auburn person if you're excited about. You need some fodder, I guess, to use against people who want to say that Auburn baseball isn't a storied program. But congratulations to Ike Irish. We're going to miss him very much. There's a bunch of other smaller topics that I think we need to spend some more time on that I'm going to push to Monday. And like I said, we may be missing out on a few things since I did this early, but there's some cool things that'll get us started next week with what else transpires this week. And who knows, maybe somebody else is still left in the NBA draft that needs to get picked up. But that's going to do it for this week and this episode of the Auburn, not the Auburn Experience. I keep trying to do that. Ever to Podcast, episode 32. As always, we really want to hear from you. Make sure that you message us on social media in our direct messages, or you can email us at e2cnetwork@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Comments, questions about what we're talking about here, things that you may want to have brought up on the show, all of those different things. And we'd love to see you this Sunday night at 9 Eastern time on YouTube for the live recording of episode 131 of the Auburn Experience podcast. Other than that, you all have a great weekend, and we'll be back together with you on Monday, Lord willing, when we get to do Ever to Podcast again. Until then, War Eagle.